Welcome to 944 life, getting the seat unstuck. So what do you know? We're dealing with the common problem of the seat is frozen, and it's a multi-factored process. So the hammering process you just saw is breaking the rust. For the past few days, we've been running down WD-40 and trying to break it a bit. We are getting some progress. There is a problem. When you pull this up, it's supposed to move both rails, but the clip in there isn't quite working. I'll show you more when it's there, but you already know what's going to happen with the hammer. Well, I forgot to bring the Torx, but if there was a Torx set here, the seats would be coming out today. In the meantime, I am just going to soak them just in case. I believe the bolts are brass, so they shouldn't give me any issue, but oh well. So here's the game plan. I'm going to be doing some cleaning. Now, based on my views, nobody actually watches the cleaning, so I'm just not going to film much of it. It's pretty simple. You take this pet green little vac. Now, this is 20 years old. This is a generic floor cleaner. If you have pets or kids, you've had one. And this is a Hamilton Beach tea kettle because the heater in there isn't the greatest after 20 years. And I got these at the Dollar Tree for $5 a piece, and it seems to work pretty well. I will picture the results or the previous tank photo I have somewhere around here. Here you can see it works pretty well. I usually give 2 or 3 passes. You have to keep in mind this interior is 40 years old, and if it's like any other vehicle, it depreciates and people tend to not take care of it or clean it. So I'm going to give this whole carpet a second pass. And then the next area to hit is right either there or the front of the seat. I'm not sure which one I'm going to do yet, but I'm going to be cleaning that out too. Also, a shop vac is your friend, obviously. Pick up the physical rust bits and crap. And on a side note, here we see the daily driver still doing the daily driver thing just fine. Okay, so that side's got its second coat, and basically whatever's coming out is coming out. In the meantime, at this time, I was going to start spraying this down, but there's not enough time, so I'm just going to vacuum it and call it a day. I did not realize you could fold the seat down and put it in van mode. We'll just call it that. Being I know about this now, I will be grabbing the rear carpet if I can. It looks like it's unattached anyway. It looks like everything's broken, so that should be pretty easy. Another piece of good news for my sake. There you see wires. And you see levers up there, gears and pulleys. This means that the lock is still functional. So that means I could just buy a key and hopefully figure out why the hatch isn't working. The interesting part is, well, it looks like a rope hanging off. So that should be fun. It's a new day. I brought the Torx set. It's time to take this passenger seat out, and there is mold growing on the back of it. So that's a good positive discovery. Here you see they're just 2 T40s. On both sides, and one thing I will give Porsche credit for, with the 924, they made the bolts out of steel, so it made it incredibly difficult to get them out, especially when they're rusty, but they're brass in this case. Okay, that's a problem. So, great. The head's stripped out, so that's going to be fun. But 3 to 4 came out, so we'll call that a win. So we discovered a few things about the previous owners, because they had quite a few owners in the past 20 years. So a religious man owned it, and he voted for Bill Clinton. So clearly Jesus had the wheel. The unfortunate side of tonight was I only got this half of the carpet done, and I'm going to have to go over it again because I didn't do very good. Because I kind of lost a part from my cleaner, and that took about an hour. Here we see our carpet, it was yellow all the way back to here, so I'm just going to have to keep doing it over and over and over again until it gets better, because that's the only way it seems to be getting better. To express my point, that was the one pass on that rear carpet that's going to be in the hatch, so it's going to take quite a few times to get that even remotely clean up. Okay, we're just not going to open it. I mean, maybe it does leak with heavier rain, but at least with light rain, there's no leaks. So that's a pleasant surprise. So just finished the interior clean. This is my last piece to really make a pass on. It appears I have achieved my goal. I have brought it to a, 70%, 60%. But it looks a hell of a lot better than it did. So that's a good start. Next thing, tore into the brakes, and it's actually, fairly well aged for what it is. It actually came out, so that's a start. You'll probably see more on the other side. That is the worst rust spot on the entire car, which is pretty good actually. The other side is just surface rust. So here we see the carpets are done. There is a couple wet spots still drying, but this is a massive improvement from what we were doing before. I got out a good chunk of the discoloration. So you see there's that high spot there. There's a couple stains that are sticking in there, but overall, it's pretty good. Okay, so the battery is in. Let's give it a go and see if it runs. No seat whatsoever. The engine may not crank, but something does work. Let's turn it. Some goodies came in the mail. So we see this is a lock key and it's power because it is a later 944. And a seal. Just so you see what we're kind of looking at. So I picked up this used spare, but that's going in the back. You line this up and then we will cut to the inside. So if you see this rod right here, that is how the hatch has been opened. So what it looks like is this faces outward and the rods connect here and this connects to our motor. And then we can go from there. So we're gonna line this all up first. So there's this, and then line up the locks and stuff. This side's already good. This side is held on with, take a guess, 10 millimeter. There we go, 10 millimeter nuts. You're also gonna wanna reconnect this little hose here, which runs down. It's probably for draining or something. All right, so I ended up calling it a day on that lock. I'm missing something. The part between when you turn the key and the lock function actually moves. All right, so I'm here because I don't want to, the lock is annoying me, as in all the hardware is missing. So we're update on the 924. Yeah, there's the car.
He has a car.
Yeah, you need it daily.
Yeah. Maybe something I can put sheet metal in. And that's this, because it's got back seats.
Okay, didn't picture this being a workhorse, but cool. So here's the engine. So what is your plan for the engine?
Well, I don't trust the fuel injection system at all because it's 45 years old.
And it's mechanical.
What I'm going to do is, my original idea was to run an AMC Gremlin carbureted manifold, but I can't find one. So what I'm doing is I'm simply going to take the throttle body off, machine a plate, and put an SU carburetor on it. Okay, so I've been working on this. So I took some sandpaper, got all this down to bare metal, shot some rust reformer if I missed anything, put some primer over that, the red primer. I'm gonna put this satin blue paint. It's not the right color, as I just found out, but oh well. And from there, I have some automotive clear coat I need to get rid of. And the same thing on this side. Obviously, that's the rust hole. We will be patching that. So this was supposed to be where the sound deadening is, but if you noticed, it was really torn up. I'll throw in the picture. So there was rust starting to form, so I shot some sandpaper rust reformer, basically the same thing I did to the back here. And to fill in the bad area on the passenger side, I'm just going to lay down some of the sound deadening. I don't want to rip out the entire carpet to do all of it, but that side's already broken, so I might as well. So yeah, as you see in the fuse box, that's probably the fuel pump. Okay, so the fuel pump is plugged in. He is about to give it accessory power. You should hear some whining.
Checking to see if we have a blown fuse.
And what does this OL mean?
I don't know. That one's good. So this one here is no good. I got nothing here.
All right, time to see what comes out of this lovely pump. What are you doing?
Pouring old gas in this car.
Oh, I'm sure it'll appreciate it. Alright, so got some blue carpet dye. It's close enough. Let's going to be putting in this sound deadening as the passenger side is collapsed. I will not be doing the driver's side as I took a peek under there and it's mostly together. So there we see into the fuel tank, which is pretty bad, but it is, at least it's plastic, so it's not rotted.
Down from the top.
Yeah, that's not great. So, this came in the mail. If you don't know what this is one of the fuses. If you go back, this is one of the melted ones. I thought this was for the fuel system, but it isn't. This is actually for the window wipers, and this was only 15 bucks. And look at that. That looks minty, especially considering how bad it looked before. Yeah, it's not perfect in certain areas, but it's decent. That's all I can really do today. I'm just gonna take a shot back and clean up some of this bits of old sound deadening that came out. At the moment, can't really do much, waiting for fuel system parts to come in. And after 6 buckets, the water has gone from yellow to looking like that, which is acceptable. So we're draining out the fuel tank. Normally what you do is you run some white vinegar through, and then you take some warm water and just run it around. Make sure to get it out and center it in the middle. I've already done that. It's been quite a few buckets, and after 6 buckets, it's finally starting to look clear. All right, so you dry your fuel tank. That's a Milwaukee something or other. So it's been a few days. Unfortunately, every time I take off a piece of the fuel system, I find out that one's bad too. Our calipers, to give them a brand new brake upgrade. Alright, so it's masked off. We're not going to be painting the dust shields. They are aluminum, even though they're just really dirty. And as for paint, caliper paint. Okay, so you're going to take an 8mm deep, and you have a bolt there, below there. Come on. Of course, it's a video, so it doesn't work. Right on top of there, and one down there. And you're going to take out your 4 bolts. Plastic here, it's supposed to be a Torx, but it's plastic. You just take it out and take off your cover here. That one's not looking great. What you want to do very gently is stick a flathead in here and kind of just move it until, kind of just lightly push it out until the headlight starts to move. So I'm going to vacuum that. Alright, so tighten things up, check your connections. So I tighten this up, put that seal back together, and let's start putting these 8s back in. What is this? Is this rust? Oh, that's Bondo. If you've ever heard of the Porsche tax, you may remember this. So this is a fuel pump. So a key with lock and some fuses, a connector, random cover, and hardware. So take a guess how much I paid for that. If your guess was $225, you would be correct. This is why they call it the Porsche tax. So it is a morning. I have about 3 hours, and it is, look at all that allergy annoyer all over the ground. But we have some surprises. It rained. This side, spotless. Oh, look at the passenger side. Yeah. Sunroof leaks. So today we will be focusing on the lock because I went to the parts breaker and spent an enormous amount of money and got myself functioning complete lock. So let's install that.
Open it up. But
it's got a special paint, a special package.
try turning that key.
very hard to turn.
Like that.
Yeah, but you feel how much pressure you're putting on that
Yeah.
key to make it turn?
Okay, so my camera died, which is why there's no footage of me putting the lock together. I will give you a basic explanation of how it works in the next episode. The other thing is, you may have noticed that hesitation and pulling on the lock, and that's there for a reason. I had to tighten the locks too much, so I loosened them 1 or 2 turns with a ratchet, and that seemed to fix itself. Alright, so on that note, I'm going to end this episode as it's already far too long, and this just keeps turning into a nickel and diming trap. Anyways, so I hope you liked the video. Don't forget to leave a like, favorite, and subscribe. And if you want to see more of the 944, hopefully I get more done next episode. That would be amazing. But hope you like it.